Come on. All right, everybody. This is Ringside Presents Nocturnal. We are back at it. We are doing it again. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're out there, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you tell your people and make sure you add in the comments. So we about to get in it. Okay, all right. So we got a great show. We have a very explicit show. I hope everybody's ready. I wanted to reach out to everybody. I couldn't find KP, nor could I find Envy. But Shawty, we definitely talk about swinging. We talking about swinging this episode, and we have some subject matter experts, some people that can drop some knowledge. My ears are still kind of vanilla on this, but I'm certainly open to the commentary because one of the things that has become apparent, particularly everybody out there in the ringside group, shout out to the big ringside, the verbal heavyweights out there in our community. We have a lot of people out there who are opening themselves up to swinging. However, you have those people out there who are going to have some questions. We're going to have a little cold feet as far as stepping out into that lifestyle. You're going to have people who are encumbered with the stigma because there is a stigma surrounding swinging. You're going to have those questions. Like for me, I've always wondered, what is the distinction between swinging and polyamory? Is there a difference or is it one and the same? Things like that. So we have some people out there who are listening, who are going to be watching this video, who may be either already veteran swingers or who may be thinking about it, who may be in relationships or marriage or being in marriage and thinking about, what, maybe that's how we liven things up in a marriage. I don't like saying spice things up because that's so cliche at this point.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're not married, but when you're married, how do you liven things up in this regard? So for the people out there, Cheyanne, I'm gonna throw it to you first. I'm gonna throw the ball to you first. For the people out there who are maybe thinking about it, what would you suggest to them?
You okay there? Oh.
Having a wasabi moment. All up my nose.
No. In my personal life, I've never, never had a chance to get down and do that. Obviously in my movies, yes, swinging, yeah, we got down. My thing is this, you just have to swing. That's just something you would have to sit down with your partner and you guys would have to, first of all, you would have to truly, really know your partner to even broach that question, come to them and, suggest, oh, maybe let's try something a little different, a little heated, what say you, Mickey?
Something off the beaten path.
No, I've done that before, a lot, thrown parties and things like that. I've also seen couples fight at swinger parties, get mad, get jealous. Ooh. It's not for everybody.
So,
but different between the what's that word? My mouth can't pronounce.
Polyamorous.
Polyamorous.
Yeah. That and swinging involves strangers, and it's polyamorous usually involves the same group. And whatchamacallit, me and my one of my ex-wife, we used to throw swing parties and swing quite often, met some interesting people along the way. And it didn't bother us. It actually enlightened things. It enhanced things. But you have to know the person you're with, and you have to be secure enough within yourself.
So for people who are swingers, so check this out. Like you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that there have been fights and arguments.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are some people who, even though they may think they're ready to swing or get in that lifestyle, you still have to deal with issues like jealousy or being possessive, things like that. I mean, so how does a person, if a couple is out there and they realize, look, this monogamy thing, is not working for us, how would you tell them to get over these issues? Because hell, people get jealous, people get possessive.
Hold on, boo. Hello.
Damn, if someone called
$3, I'm not messing with you.
It's not. Can you go in through the Nocturnal link, right?
Tell them to go to ringsidedebates.com/nocturnal.
He said go to ringsidedebates.com/nocturnal.
/nocturnal.
/nocturnal.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm being nosy. Who was that?
Oh shit.
Anybody?
Poison Ivy.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Ain't none of our business, but yeah. So Mickey, how does a couple, either newlywed or been together for years, how would they deal with issues like jealousy or being possessive, even if they want to swing?
You don't have. It's not something you can talk about. It's something you got to see, because a lot of times the person who broaches the subject of swinging is usually out of a selfish thing. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll throw some names. You remember Clydesdale, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
But yes.
Yeah. The master.
Your wife's favorite friend.
Yes, my ex-wife's favorite friend.
Excuse me.
We were here at a swing party. And
we're all friends.
For the selfish one who wants to receive, the swinging party seems like a very good idea. And you get there, and then, your wife says, okay, I want to have some fun too. And then she meets a man named Clydesdale. And you're like, oh, I didn't know they were going to be inviting him. Oh, Jesus. Good Lord.
Nah, he wasn't nothing to write home about.
You said, right?
Wasn't nothing to write home about. He wasn't.
No, he was all visual.
He was a lazy lay. He made our movie terrible.
What movie was this, and where can people find it?
Oh, he's in a lot of scenes with Elizabeth Sweet. And I think that was one of your first things, wasn't it?
That was my very first. It was awful.
That was hard to find. I've seen it.
It got better. And then after a while, you just think of your happy place, and you start.
All depends on your dad.
So wait a minute.
That's right.
Quick question. So Cheyanne, what year was your first movie?
Oh my! Oh, must I have to dig in the archive? Let's see. Oh,
no way.
Goodness. 12 years ago. What? About roughly 12 years ago. Yeah, Stone, Site Meds.
It was longer than that.
Out of it.
So I mean, for someone
15 years ago.
Yeah,
15 years ago. So with a lot of porn, you do have storylines that involve swingers. One of the things I've noticed, and I've seen in cinema, you have it seems like a lot of the swingers are definitely older, like people like over 50, over 60. I see that the most as far as that genre. What is it about that? Do you see that more prevalent with a certain age group versus other age groups? Because it seems like whenever the topic comes up, it's usually more so older generations.
Well, I can answer that for you. Because they're retired with disposable income and have no children. My ex-wife, she was 12 years my senior. Her daughter was 22 and I was 28. So she has no kids. So together we live in a house with no kids. We have disposable income and a lot of time on our hands. So you're going to find over 40, over 50 crowd primarily in those types of situations. Rarely is it young people. When I used to throw parties, I would send in ringers, professional stars and stuff to make sure everyone had a good time. But for the most part, especially if you're throwing them on Wednesday nights, stuff like that, who else has that kind of time? And they had disposable income, so they can easily pay to come to these parties. The kids are gone. See, I heard a guy at the gym one time say he's never been to a strip club. And I said, really? Never? When I was younger, I was too scared of what my parents would think. And when I got older, I was too scared of what my children would think. He said, now that my parents are dead, and my kids are grown and gone, I'm going to go for my first time. He was in his late 60s. So you find that a lot with men and women. You find that a lot with couples that they're busy raising children. Rarely do they say, okay, I'm going to drop the kids off at a babysitter so I can go screw anonymous people. No, they're really busy doing the parental thing. And when they get older, they're doing this, that, and the other. And it's usually like, when I used to go to them, a lot of them were retired and well off. You know, really didn't see too many working people there. It was primarily people who had done all of that and gotten established, and they have pensions. They're retired, and now they want to have the fun that they missed out on for 30 years.
No, actually, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that, because you know, you have the people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s starting off, building families, getting established in their careers. Their lives take on a different meaning because their lives become about their children, become about raising their kids, attending PTA meetings, you know, climbing up the corporate ladder, so on and so forth. And like you said, I mean, for a lot of people, family influence has a lot to do with it. You know, if your parents are alive, you definitely don't want to present yourself in a certain kind of light because you don't want to hear shit from your parents. You don't want to, you know, because, you know, parents be intrusive and get all up in your business. But when they're gone, then, you know, what do you have left? So like many years ago, I did some research on swinging. Started off, correct me if I'm wrong, Cheyanne and Mickey, swinging started off as key parties in the, what is it, Air Force? That's right. In the Air Force, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, this was, I mean, years ago when I was on a podcast and I didn't have some Googling, it was Air Force couples. It was on a base, I think, I don't know if it was San Diego or somewhere in California, where a lot of married military couples, because they're so, you know, they're in a bubble, they're on a military base, you know, they're kind of isolated from everyone out in the general public. And there were stories about a lot of these couples coming to parties and putting their, I guess, house keys or car keys in a fish bowl,
dropping the bowl,
right, without a bowl, and then you pick up some keys, and if you pick up someone else's keys, then you sleep with them. And so
absolutely,
this was something that I read about, and I was like, okay, let me talk to some people who can either confirm or deny, or this is the origins of swinging, or do you honestly believe that swinging started right? I mean, because this was like in the 50s or something like that. You think swinging started there, or you think, you know, that's just where it was named?
No, it probably was where it was named. You know, back in I had a chance to I had a good mentor. You know, I don't want to say his name. He was a wise guy, you know, Italian out of New York, and his father was a wise guy. And in porn back in the 60s, when you could distribute it, but it was more so like drugs. And I said, is that when porn started? And he said, porn started the day they took the first picture. He said his father told him, and remember, his father goes back to the 30s. He said his father told him that the biggest pornographers at his day were Walt Disney and Earl Flynn. Now, everybody knows about Earl Flynn and the famous swinger parties and stuff like that. But he said in the daytime, they would shoot Disney movies. At nighttime, they would turn over the studios to the wise guys back then, and they would shoot porn movies. He had stuff in black and white going back to the 20s and 30s and stuff with no sound in it that I had seen. So it's old as reproduction. That's how old it is.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days where polygamy was not a big deal, to the point where it didn't even have a label. Of course. You know, sex is fun. And with any fun thing, you want to share it. You know, and for me, it was never really a big deal, especially I realized that I was a voyeur. You know, I enjoyed watching my ex-wife with Clydesdale. I shot them in like 6 movies. You know, I enjoyed the facial expressions she made and the sounds she made. And besides, you know, as far as I was concerned, he got the motor really started and running, and I didn't have to do much after that. Like, you know, one night she said she wanted to do a 3-hour session. I said, no problem. I called him over for the first 2 hours. And I ended it. I don't care. I got the checkered flag. But, you know, it depends on how strong your relationship is, whether or not you can broach that subject. And a lot of people at swingers parties don't actually have sex.
Really?
Most people at the swinger parties, they think that they're swingers, but they're not. They're voyeurs. Most of the people there are, you know, it depends on what type of party you have. If it's 420 friendly, some of them were, some of them weren't. All of them had alcohol, and most of them were older couples who were like holding hands, watching people, and then they would start. They wouldn't even intermix with the other crowd. So everybody, it's not an orgy. You can get that idea. That's different. Now you have some people there participating in orgy activities, but most of the time the couple will come there and just stay with each other. And every once in a while they might bring a person in or whatever that's walking by, but I would say 50% of the couples were there having monogamous relations. They were there with each other.
So you know what? Let me back it up. You guys remember the movie Eyes Wide Shut, right?
Yeah.
That was, I think that was one of the first movies I saw where that's what I thought. And even in retrospect, when I think about that movie, because that was a great Tom Cruise flick. Let's be honest, great flick. I couldn't tell. I was like, okay, is this an example of a swinger party, or is this an orgy? Is this a cult? I didn't know what was going on. It seemed like, okay, from what I remember the movie came out in what, 99 or 2000, one of that.
Mid 90s, I think. Yeah.
The movie came out, and in the movie it depicted this upper Manhattan, you know, doctor, and it seemed like the events were for the upper echelon of New York, the high-powered attorneys, the high-powered doctors, the politicians. They go into these parties where they're wearing masks, and they're basically fucking all these different women. You know, everybody's intermingling, the whole nine. Even back then, before I had the vernacular, I'm thinking, okay, is this what an orgy is? Or in retrospect, I'm like, is that what swinging is? Is people, you know, people coming together, no names, very little identity, but sharing, you know, sharing in one another. You bring your spouse, you know, you watch your spouse have sex with someone else. They watch you have sex with someone else. And so I think that was the first time I saw it on film, where I thought, okay, is this an example of swinging?
At the swinging parties, we used to have, you always had upper echelon. Again, who else has disposable income? Who else can come out and do this on a Wednesday night? It was always politicians. That's why I don't really drop names in ringside, but, you know, the Fox and I have a lot of celebrity stories we could tell, you know. Doing this a long time, baby. Which I just choose to keep names out of it. Every once in a while, I'll leak one or two when I find them doing some hypocritical things. I'm like, I saw you last night. Stop it. You know, but it's usually upper echelon. You know, you have different types. I remember in my 20s, Heather Hunter, I used to go to a lot of her functions because we would intermix with a lot of the same crowd. And hers was called Lollipop. And it was you had to have a VIP card. She knew you personally, and they moved around. And she would get what they call temporary liquor licenses from 8 to 2, the same way you do at a wedding. You get a temporary liquor license to actually sell alcohol, and it was usually in Hollywood, but sometimes it was on this floor, that floor, this particular building, this particular warehouse, that kind of thing. And I remember being part of another one where you would have to submit pictures because they wanted a certain aesthetic crowd there. So you would have to submit pictures of you and your guest, and you could pay by credit card before you show up because they didn't want to charge you at the door. That's pretty tacky when cash changes hands like that. So you would pay by credit card or something before you got there. And then when you got there, you would have a code and you would just say it and they'd let you in. It's like a speakeasy, so to speak, in the Capone days. So it depends on how you run your particular thing, but I always found them to be fun. we were going to them like twice a week, and then we just started hosting them. And I had I'm not gonna say police chief, but he was second or third in command to the police chief, and he would follow. He was like obsessed with my ex-wife, and he would come by the house all the time. And at that time, I was heavily engaged in criminal activities. I remember that time I had these business cards. Miss Fox remembers, so she was on it.
I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with the show. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Just saying. Okay, no, you guys, I'm just messing with them. No, go ahead, please.
I had these business cards with all of these women's faces on it. And I went to, that was really bold in my 20s. And I went to the police station and I handed these cards out. I had a stack of them. And it said, my title was Manager of Adult Entertainers. And I explained to them about swinging parties, which is legal. And I explained to them about bachelor parties, which is legal. And I know that these are a big group. I did the same at the fire department, but whatchamacallit, the one on King Boulevard in that Dolomite movie where he came out of, that's the Southwest Division. And the guy at the counter, he was just staring at me and he kept trying to push him to the side. And I was like, no, listen to me. And I said, I know you guys throw bachelor parties and things like that. Well, we're available, blah, blah, blah. And I said, all of this is legal, so you can't bust me for it. And I gave him the stack and he just pushed him to, like, knocked him to the side, like, all right. And he entertained some other people. Well, 6 weeks later, I got a call. One of the officers at the station had a brother who was throwing a bachelor party. And from there, it was always cops at the parties. And I was always doing those type of law enforcement parties, and they would do me favors along the way.
So, I mean, that's actually not a bad racket. It's actually, that's called good networking. Okay. You know, I know, Cheyanne, you mentioned that you primarily know about this from your movies, and Mickey has had his real world experiences. What do you think?
We did one together. How many? Okay. Did we do 2 swinger movies together, Mick? I know, now you're doing, okay, is it catchy?
Okay, let me see if I can find it.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Speak up, please.
I know. Are you talking about that time with at extended stay with
No, not that time. Exactly. Okay, not Treasure.
I couldn't remember her name.
What was her name? Dina Kane.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so y'all name dropping now.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
A little bit. I mean, hey, she's out there. Her movies are there to see. So
that was spontaneous.
Well, look, I'm gonna do my own personal research after the show, but let me ask the both of you something.
Please do.
Let me ask you this. So, what do you think is the biggest misconception about this? Because let's be honest. Let's put all our cards on the table. You have a lot of people out there who are conservative. And I'm pretty sure a lot of conservatives go to swinger parties, but that's something else.
That's mostly who's here.
Exactly, and it's just hush hush. Yeah, that's it.
But what do you think for the people out there who are judgmental, or even maybe not judgmental but apprehensive? What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about the swinging lifestyle?
You want to take it, Ms. Fox? You want me to do it?
Oh, sure, I will. I think. They feel that we're gonna just, they're gonna be just attacked and tongue bathed, right at the door. It's not like that. You're not gonna be thrust into this, this pit, of tongues. No, you go in and you observe and, you watch, and it's up to you if you would like to, kind of test the waters. You want to, kind of get in there, feel on someone a little bit, or you know what I mean? It's not that scary. It really isn't. You just have to go and observe, observation before participation.
You got to observe. So
yes.
Mm-hmm. And another thing is permission. A lot of people think that as soon as you go to a swingers party, you can just grab somebody and start doing X, Y, and Z. No, you can start a fight like that. Everything is permission. You know how you ask a girl to dance in junior high school? She might be talking with her friends. Well, it's the same thing. A couple may just to be monogamous and don't want anybody touching them, or they might be voyeur and not want to participate. You have to walk up and ask. It's very permission oriented. Because it's about consenting adults, and the consenting is higher than the adults part.
So, I mean, you mentioned like, okay, yeah, I think we all had the experience. You in junior high, you see a girl you want to dance with, and you go walk up to her, you
You
know.
don't just grab her hand and start dancing.
Right. You don't just walk up to her and like, hey, come on out here. You ask permission. So the same thing with a swinger party. So would you, if you see an attractive woman who may be on the arm of another man, but you digging her, she fine, you know, you think she's sexy, do you talk to her? Do you talk to her man? Or you talk to both of them? How does that work?
You talk to her man or both of them.
Yes, I would say both.
Usually when swingers come to, there's very few single people there. I would charge double for single men and still have to turn them away at the door because it's just so many of them lined outside. I can't bring you all in here because they'll shut us down. But and there's very few single women. Most of them are couples that come.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the man and you ask him as a man, and then you look at the woman, or you show interest with the man. And then you lean it back because he'll talk to the chick for you. And she might come over to you or she might bring you over to them. But usually I found that the couples that go up there are searching for an extra woman. That's why we can only let so many single men in. You know, you can't just come to the buffet without bringing something. So the price would be lower for couples than it was for people individually. And at one time, single women, they would get in free. Because you want a good ratio. You want 2/3 to 1/3. You want 1/3 men, 2/3 women, which is a delicate balance because most of the people trying to get in are men. That's why I started bringing in ringers. I would just bring in a bunch of single women. But I think a lot of misconception is that these are creepy people. No, these are your teachers. These are professionals who have disposable income. You know, these are not street people. And these are not like they think they're like slimy. No, they would live, and that's why they would swing because they would have a repressed lifestyle Monday through Friday. They couldn't do X, Y, and Z. Saturday, what we call weekend warriors. That's when they used to let it all hang out.
So check this out.
When we live that lifestyle, they're not the ones that's usually at the swingers party. Like you wouldn't see. Only porn stars that would be at my parties are the ones I personally invited and asked to come. Persuaded them to come.
So let me say this. Mickey, real quick, and Cheyanne chime in on this. Years ago, I heard there was a person ringside that said that you have more couples. Well, you know what? Let me table that question. What is the distinction between an open marriage and swinging, or is it really the same thing?
No, open marriage does not involve the other party and participant. If I'm involved with an open marriage, that means I have another girlfriend. And I'm dating outside. My wife isn't there. If we have an open marriage, she has another guy or another guy and girl. I'm not there. Swinging is something that's done together.
It's a partnership. It's a tandem thing.
Yeah, we came here together. We had fun. We left together.
Couple goals.
Baby, I'm about to go out on a date. Okay, I see you when you come home.
Okay, that's interesting because I've heard people say that swinging. And even, I'm going to say this, excuse me for doing this, open marriages, swinging, polyamory. I've heard some people postulate that it's the remedy and solution to divorce because, let's be honest, we live in a country where divorce rate is getting at 50% and is getting higher. 50% of married couples are getting divorced. You have some married couples that feel like, look, we need to open this up because that's the way we preserve the excitement. We do away with the monotony. We do away with, just feeling in prison and bored. You have couples that say that, look, we need to open this marriage up because we want to preserve the marriage, but we don't want to feel in prison. Do you think swinging and polyamory, do you think these are, I don't want to go so far as say solutions, but ways people can address the boredom and monotony of marriage?
You want to answer that, Ms. Fox?
Yes, let's
I was going to let you do that.
Oh, damn, Cheyanne. One of y'all.
Royal.
Well, I remember reading something that couples who swing have like a 10 or 15% divorce rate. And it's not the swinging that keeps them together. It's the fact that they're doing things together that keeps them together. They just happen to be swinging. A lot of couples live their separate lives. She does this, he does that. She works here, he works there. She has her group of friends, he has that. his group of friends. When you're a swinging couple is usually everywhere together. When my ex-wife and I were avid swingers, we did pornography together. We went bowling together. We went to amusement parks together. We ate together. We did everything together.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
And the thing is, and what brings them to it, swinging was just part of the glue, you know. So that's why they have a higher success rate. It's not the fact that they're inviting other people into their relationship. It's the fact that they keep the they all the time. You're coming into our party, and it's an honesty. It's a visual honesty, and it shows that I can trust her, and I'm not insecure. She can trust him, and she's not insecure. So what happens is the insecurity and the trust level in the relationship, the insecurity goes down and the trust goes up. Well, that's transferable throughout the relationship. So next thing you know, you have joint bank accounts. Next thing you know, you have a business together. Next thing you know, you're having long walks in the park together or bowling together. The thing is, every aspect and phase of your life now, you're together. Because you guys, you know how they say trauma bonded? You're trust bonded.
Oh, yeah.
You're trust bonded. If I can trust her,
like a mofo.
if I can trust her to do this, well, I can trust her with dirty pieces of paper with presidents' faces on it. I can trust her with a knife in her hand and my back turned. If I can trust her with this, what can I trust her with? So what it does is it eliminates a lot of anxiety and a lot of mistrust. You don't even know that you're carrying a lot of other problems in your relationship by doing that.
That's true, absolutely.
You don't even know that you're doing that. You just had sex with another couple, or we just wife swapped, or we just, no. You cured a lot of other problems in your relationship that won't even ever occur. So when someone comes up to you on the street and say, hey man, I banged your wife last night, I just look them up and down like, no you didn't, you're not her type. And I just keep walking off, you're not her type. Or I'll say, how long? And they'll be like, man, I banged your wife for 30 minutes. I'm like, you wasted her time. I know her. It takes an hour to get that motor running. I just walk off because I know that she's not going anywhere. We've been through that, and that issue is a non-void. Or they might say, she did X, Y, and Z, or I hear that, whatever. I'm like, no, she wouldn't. Why? Because she didn't tell me. She tells me everything.
So, Cheyanne, and I want to give you the floor because I know you have some thoughts you'd like to share. What is your input on this? Because I know you talked about your exposure to swinging is, or through your movies, but in terms of your personal life, was this nothing that you ever thought about doing or even entertaining?
Oh yeah, all the time thinking about it. My new partner is not into it, so so I won't be able to partake. But honestly, I love fantasy. I live here, and that's the way I pretty much get off. I just honestly, I can think about the threesome, and the cuckolding. I kind of let's get back to that. And I pretty much imagine. And no, I haven't really actually done it, but it's like I said, I'm cerebral, and I can get there just fantasizing about it.
So let me say this. Let me put it out there. Let me put it out there like this. What was taboo 20 years ago is now mainstream today. And I think that's the case with a lot of things. Certain sexual routines, habits, and behaviors that were once taboo, frowned upon, and stigmatized are now celebrated in music, celebrated on film.
Oh yeah.
I mean like home box office film, things like that. So do you think there'll ever be a day where swinging won't have the same stigma that it carries now? Because I have no doubt, let me just say this, it's 2021. We had a rocky year in 2020, but we're here in 2021. Swinging, that lifestyle still carries a stigma, but I seriously doubt it carries the same weight that it did maybe 10 years ago.
When you talk about mainstream, though, I think it is mainstream, and that's what makes it kind of not fun anymore. The fun part was sneaking around, and you're sneaking around with your partner. It's almost like role playing.
Absolutely.
You're it's like living in a movie. And when you say stigma, you got to understand. You're in Atlanta. The Fox and I were in Hollywood. She remembers Hollywood. So,
oh yes,
it wasn't
that's
really
my
a
place, Hollywood.
there. Maybe in the 40s, but in Hollywood, it was just a thing. It didn't even have a label. We're just having to get together. Like you said, a tea party. That's all. And that's how they usually run. Like get together, swinging. Also,
absolutely.
You have a swingers club. They're it's the same people. It's not it's not like where you go to somewhere and these are all strangers. Then you go again. Certain groups are very select about who they let into a group. Usually, you have to pass some kind of background check, and I don't mean criminal background check. They just want to know what type of person that they're inviting into their home.
Right.
You can't just show up. You have those types. You have different types of swinging groups, but the one me and my ex-wife were in, the one that we liked the most, it was the same people each time. So it was almost like a family get-together, like soul food, but everybody's naked.
Chocolate swingers? Which one was that?
Yeah, that was chocolate swingers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds sexy.
Yeah, a lot of fun. You meet a lot of interesting couples.
Sounds like a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, and they were professionals and things like that, but
get on with that little grin. There's more behind that grin.
You know what? If I don't say this right now, I'm going to forget. So allow me this. You hear people, I guess, try to profile people in their lifestyle because you hear people say, "Well, and I'm going to use some real words real quick." I've had people in the ringside community. They say, "Oh, that's white people shit," or "That's some trailer park shit." That's for people who are, broke, hillbillies, trailer park, white people that are into that shit. And I always thought about like, okay, I'm not in that lifestyle. I don't partake, but I seriously doubt the trailer park community is the alpha and omega of this lifestyle. I'm pretty sure you have people from all different walks of life, politicians, teachers, to stay-at-home moms, to doctors. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of people who are involved. But what do you do? Because when I say this, these comments come directly from ringside. What do you do with the people who say this is white people shit?
I tell them, obviously, you've never done it. Because it's definitely not for the trailer parks. Those people weren't the ones that were there. And it's something you touched on a while back about networking. A lot of networking done at these parties.
That's what
they really are. If you want to be honest, that's what they really are.
I was just going to go there. Mickey, you know what?
Society.
I was going to say that, you're raised to believe that networking happens on the golf course.
That's right.
You hear people say all the time, you want to make business connections, you want to network with people, you have to go play golf with people. And I'm like,
absolutely.
I know golf ain't the only place to network.
No, it depends on what business you're in. If you're in Hollywood, you better go to the swinger parties. See, you ever hear those Hollywood stories? Sometimes they're not so nice. And then what do they always say? Well, I was at a party. See, in the other people's mind is they think of a party with alcohol, music. They think of a party. That's not what they're talking about. That's why so many
secret societies.
Yeah, that's not what they're talking about when they say parties. When I say I threw Hollywood parties or I went to this party, those are not actual parties. Those are basically free-for-all swingers parties that when you're naked and sometimes when you have your clothes on, you're talking about other things. That's who's at these parties. Sports figures are at these parties. I'm not gonna say no names. Tons of actors are at these parties, and they get to be themselves there. And they do all kinds of things. But different parties have different things and different themes. But that is networking in Hollywood. You won't find Epstein on a golf course. You won't find Epstein on a golf course. That's not where you'll find them. You won't find the Bryan Singers and stuff on golf courses. They don't play golf. They do play with balls though, but they don't play golf. That's not what you do.
Man, I really wish you guys. I know you guys can't name drop too many, but I'm starting to wonder. Like, I wonder how many of my favorite actors and actresses are actually doing this behind. Because fact of the matter is, most of them. So is it
Oh,
something
yes.
is this part of the Hollywood trend or just the culture, or is
Yes.
this something that, you know, is inherent with all these people? Because I'm like, what is it about Hollywood that it's like this is a common theme, or one of those things where if you want to make it and be successful, you have to go where all the successful people go, and if it's swinger parties, that's where you have to go.
Well, it's like, you're a member of a fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
You guys connect and network and you do things like that. And that's a fraternity. Hollywood, they used to call
And
it
that's where
Hollywood.
the secrets are kept right there. Yeah.
Hollywood in the daytime is not the same place as Hollywood at night.
Mm-hmm.
Very different place in Hollywood at night.
Okay.
So you have to go where they are, and that's where they are, and that's what they do. And it's not really it's not a big secret as it is to the rest of the country, but no, that's just Hollywood. That's just Hollywood. It's fantasy land, and what is it about Hollywood is that Hollywood represents freedom. That's all it does. It's you see things. It's like the glass ceiling, and you have terms like people who live in cubicles, and it's totally uninhibited. And it's freedom, and you live your fantasies.
Hey.
Cheyanne, you okay over there?
No, I said, hey, that's the title. That's my segue. That's the title of my book, you guys. Uninhibited. Please go out and buy that. Purchase the book, and then we'll discuss.
Where can people find the book Uninhibited?
Amazon.com.
Okay, y'all. Make sure and Mickey, I did update the description. I put the names and titles and Amazon links of your books in the description so people can find. I put four of your books up there. So Cheyanne, if people want to get in contact, if people want to find your book, they just go to Amazon.com and type in Uninhibited.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And is Uninhibited, are you talking about swinging or cuckolding or something?
Cuckolding.
Okay.
Yes, cuckolding. It's a cuckold conspiracy. Check it out.
Now, eventually, one day, we're gonna have to do a show about that, because I think about, I've thought about it like, you know what? I have no doubt that some of the people that I work with, some of the people that I've seen, I can't go to church anymore, but some of the people I probably saw in church, I'm pretty sure some people getting down.
Your pastor. Okay, excuse me. Forgive me. I don't want to be disrespectful. That's what I said. But personally, I didn't want to be disrespectful.
Oh, I mean, you ain't just
stories too.
Y'all ain't just.
There are no names and no chairs. Okay.
I got a rabbi story too.
Yes, please. I know about it, but they would like to hear it. It's interesting. Go on.
How do you know they want to hear it? What you call it? You know about the rabbi
because
story.
It's interesting. It is. You guys will love it. I mean, it's going to catch your eye. It's interesting.
Let's just say people are people.
Yes. I mean,
people. That's all. People who swing, that's your mailman. That's your children's school teacher. It's just Disneyland for adults, so to speak. But like I said, the couple has to be secure within themselves.
Absolutely.
And if they're insecure, when you go there, if you can come home and not have an argument, that you have pretty much solved about 70 or 80% of your issues down the road, and you don't even know it yet. It's extremely therapeutic. Like BDSM is extremely therapeutic for both parties.
All right.
Like I said, you solve a lot of your problems and not even know it. You solve a lot of your trust issues and not even know it. You also stopped a lot of arguments that would have started maybe a year and a half after that point and don't even know it.
So let me say this.
Oh, yes.
Have you, Mickey, you talked about going to parties or hosting parties and seeing couples fight and argue. What are some of the downsides? Have you ever seen, let me say this. Let me ask this question. Let me phrase it this way. Have you ever seen a couple try to dip their toes in swinging, try it, and then say, you know what, this ain't for me. This ain't for me.
Yeah, you have some couples come in, they might leave 30, 40 minutes later. both of them agree that this is not for them. This is not what we expected. This is not what we thought. Some people take to it. Most of them take to it, but I have seen 2 or 3 just, come in, look around. They'll stay for about a half hour, and it's not for them. Like I said, every couple is not participating. I would say at least half of the people are watching and with their particular partner. And the fights, I can honestly tell you, the fights usually start when the person's mate is showing the stranger more attention than themselves.
Oh, we got a problem at that point.
I've seen fights started. Miss Fox can understand that. What you call it? Clydesdale, who's actually a policeman. Clydesdale.
Who the hell is this Clydesdale person? Whoever this guy is.
Porn star.
Yeah, he wore
porn
a mask.
star.
I'm not gonna say his name because I value his job as much as he does. I'm not gonna pay his rent, so I'm not gonna get him fired. But he would come to a lot of them, and he was as I used to tease Miss Fox about. He was one of those $5 footlongs.
Oh my God!
He would start a lot of fights, a lot of arguments, and he would just back out of it like y'all got to talk amongst yourselves because a lot of it is.
He wasn't one of my favorites. His ex loved him.
He had such a quick bat, but he couldn't hit the ball.
He really couldn't. God, he just laid there, and I'm just like, do something, move around. God dang. So this was my first scene. It was lots of.
So this Clydesdale person. So obviously he's a Clydesdale. Obviously he grew up underneath some power lines or some or something like. Well, damn. So somewhere in a part of the world, there's a dude named Clydesdale. Don't even realize that he's being talked about on a podcast right now. But so okay, question. So we casually labeled this show as Swinging 101. Okay, so Cheyanne, Mickey, for the couples out there who will watch this video, who will watch this, what we're doing tonight. Everybody out there watching, make sure you hit the notifications, hit that bell, make sure you follow, subscribe, go, and if you're on Facebook, join the Ringside community. Make sure you do a search, Ringside LLC, join the community. Visit our new design website, ringsidedebates.com. Check out all the great features. But Cheyanne and Mickey, real talk, and this is one of the most serious questions I have this evening because we're going to have people that are going to watch this video.
Okay.
For the couples out there, young and old, who are having these talks right now, what would you tell them is the first step as far as getting out there? Is there a certain app they download? Is there a certain website they go to? Is there a certain, like, okay, I know they don't just run out there in the streets. What would you say is as far as the best, most efficient, healthy way a couple dip their toe in the water? What is the very first step that they take?
Well, I would say that if you want to try swinging, you can Google swingers networks. They have an entire network out there. Each swingers group usually has a website, and it has their do's and don'ts up there, and it has their rules, and you can see which one matches you. Unfortunately, just like everything in this country, everything is divided on race. So I tell people you have white swingers groups, black swingers groups, and interracial swingers groups. So they're actually divided along those lines. So you most of mine were interracial, and what you call it, you see, and some of them don't want young people there. Some of them don't want old people there. So you have to see their guidelines and their rules. And if you're not used to this kind of thing, wife swapping first might be a prelude to it. Going out double dating and flirting with your other person's date, and your wife, if she's not able to if she's okay with that, and then the other one flirts with that one, and if they're okay with that and there was conversation, it depends on your personal security, and insecurities, depending on how you look at it. It's hard to just jump into it. Those are usually the couples that turn around and leave. So it's you got to really check your own security level as far as a couple is concerned. But you can Google these things. I remember back then, it was early on in the internet, they had Yahoo groups, and they had a lot of swingers clubs in there. And some swingers groups, they invite strangers. They you see different people each time. You have swingers parties within a swingers group or swingers network. There's certain parties you like that are hosted by certain people, some you don't. Ours used to have games like spin the bottle and things like that. And it depends on what floats your boat, whether or not you want to do it or not. A lot of people that want to swing, they really just want to cheat. And it's not cheating because you're there with someone. So it's not a monolith. It's not just, they're very different facts. I would say investigate first. Take your time. You know, some couples, they can't even handle watching pornography together. I would not suggest swinging for them.
Well, yeah, I would agree. If you are with your significant other or your spouse, if you can't handle sitting on the couch watching video, then you probably don't need to be out there actually doing it. Cheyanne, what are your thoughts? Give your input.
I agree with Mickey. No, seriously, if you can't even talk about it, if you're that uncomfortable, no, that's just not. If you can't even watch a porno, you can't start off there, then that's not for you. That's not for you.
I've heard that. No, actually, that is actually.
Now, can I ask you a question? Trey, amazing. Yes. Would you be willing to try, or have you tried swinging?
I have not tried. I have years ago when I started podcasting, I interviewed the guy that is over Trapeze, author. I forgot his last name, author, whatever. I hate that I forget, but we interviewed him for a podcast, and as a result, he ended up giving us some free passes to his to Trapeze, which, if you live in Atlanta, you know Trapeze is the California roll of
love it.
Right.
Okay, got that. All right.
And so me and my ex at the time and a friend, we went there. We didn't partake. We actually just stood around wearing towels, and we definitely got our voyeur on. Now, I will admit, I am
absolutely, yeah.
I am a beginner voyeur. I don't mind watching. As far as partaking, no, we never got down like that, and we never expressed interest because, number one, for the people out there, if you live in Atlanta, I'll tell you like this: Trapeze is hiding in plain sight. If you actually found where Trapeze is, you realize it's been there the whole time. You just driven by thousands of times, didn't realize it. Now, for me, I can't see myself doing it. Now, would I go back to a Trapeze and watch? Hell yeah, I'll go back and watch. Because
makes the sex hotter, huh? When you get home, it's steamy, isn't it?
It sure does.
Oh yeah. No, now when
that's foreplay.
Yeah, no, it certainly is good stimulation. Gives some great visuals. It's like, you know what? When I get home, I'm gonna try that shit. It's like when I get home, you know what? I got a table in my house just like that. I'm gonna bend you over and do the exact same thing. So. But as far as some of the things I said, it was certainly eye-opening, and I definitely wouldn't have an issue going back. But in terms of the actual swinging, I don't think I'm there yet. I'm not sure it's for me. But as far as watching, oh yes, ain't nothing wrong with watching because that could turn me on.
What about in one of those fur? You know, one of those. What is it called? The fur. There's this. You know the. There we go. Yes.
I can tell you what it did.
If you were a little more.
I can tell you what it does a lot. If you have like a boring monogamous relationship and it's gotten pretty much routine, and you take your woman to a swinger party and it doesn't bother you, and you see her doing things with multiple guys, like 2 or 3 on with her, when you bring her home. Ooh. You start to see her in a different light as doing the things that your favorite porn stars, you stop watching porn so much and your reality actually becomes your fantasy, and it turns your personal sex life a little bit more intimate, and you respect her as being the type of woman who could raise your children, handle her business at work, and then turn into this freak. So you don't have to visualize and imagine when you're with your wife, God, I wish I was with such and such freak. No, you realize that you're actually with your fantasy. And I switch it over for some type of women. You know how a woman might feel that she's with a man, he's a teacher, he's kind of boring, they have regular sex, they do regular things, it's routine. And then one day she sees him in a different light. 3 guys jump out, try to rob him. He beats the hell out of all of them. When
Absolutely.
he comes home and he's still playing with his child, he's still cooking dinner, she's like, you know, I see him a little differently now. I don't have to dream about Jason Bourne. I didn't know Jason Bourne was in my house. You know, I didn't know that part of him. I didn't know that side of him. He looks more manly to her, even though he hasn't changed his routine with her, but she never got a chance to see that. And as a child, they always remember back when we were children, I don't know how old you are, Trey, but when we were children, they would have where you can take your child to work with you. And no matter what type of work your father did,
I was one of them.
and no matter what type of work your father did, when you go to work with him and you realize how much he makes an hour, even if he's loading a truck, you said, my daddy has to lift 1,000 boxes for me to have a Big Mac meal. You know, so what it does to the child is when they go out, he doesn't just start grabbing particular toys. He doesn't disrespect the amount of money his parents make. He or she sees their parents in a different light because they went to work with them and they said, you know, my mother works really hard. She has to deal with this crap all day, and the way she deals with it, he's never seen his parents in a professional light. He's never seen them as geniuses at their work. He's never seen them as strong as they work. He just sees them, or she just sees them as a dominating figure that's telling them to clean their room. You notice after that, they don't have to tell you to clean your room. You want to help them. You see them in a different light, even though they're still your parents. You're like, I knew that was my mother, but I didn't know she was so smart. I didn't know she was such a professional at what she did. I didn't know she got so much respect from these people. To me, she's just mom, but she's not mom anymore. My mother can do all kinds of things. My father can do all kinds of things because I saw it with my own eyes. And that's what a lot of swinging does. It's like you get to see another side of your partner, to where it opens up another avenue. Like I said, it's almost therapeutic and it solves a lot of problems that may arise down the road. You know, and remember when I talked about in the group, you and I talked about confidence versus arrogance? And I said arrogance, what you think you can do and you're trying to convince someone else of. It's like if I'm a mechanic and my wife has a problem with her car down the road, she doesn't call AAA. She calls her man.
That's right.
Because she knows that he can solve the problem. When he shows up and says, take my car, take the babies home, I got this covered. She doesn't ask him, well, are you sure you got it covered? Or do you need my help? Do I have to hold the flashlight? She says, okay. She gets in the car, she drives off, she doesn't think nothing about it because she knows he can solve the problem. If she says, you know, these guys are bothering me, and all of a sudden Mike Tyson shows up and he looks at all 3 of the guys and go, I got this. She just gets in her car and be like, y'all gonna get it now, and just drives off because she's confident. She knows what he can do.
That's right.
You know, so it shows another side of the person. You know, like that woman you first started dating and you guys were always eating out. Then you went to her house for the first time and she cooked you this gourmet meal. It's like, boom, I didn't know you could do this. You know, it opens up a whole new avenue on how
You're welcome.
It opens up a whole new avenue on how you see her. You know, so it can be almost marriage saving. It can be relationship saving. It just depends on the couple and how you want to use it and how secure you are as a couple. It can also end your relationship. You know, it depends on if you have a jealous type person or whatever. And I think jealousy is a big insecure thing. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great way we're going to end the show. I think, Mickey, thank you so much. I think that was a great way we're going to cap things off. If you're out there, if you're listening, you have just gotten the first intro to Swinging 101. I hope you took some notes, and I hope you took the great information that was provided here to heart. And if you're thinking about stepping out on this lifestyle, we've certainly provided some great information and some great background. Thank you so much to the amazing and horny Cheyanne Fox over there, and to the incomparable and prolific Mickey Royal. Thank you guys so much. I am Trey Amazing. If you guys out there, make sure you find the Ringside community, Ringside LLC. Type that into the search in your Facebook. Make sure you visit ringsidedebates.com. And Peru's website, tell your friends. We are here every Titty Tuesday. This is Nocturnal, and this is how we do it. We get it in. We'll see y'all next week.